you might be familiar already with the Careers with STEM magazines. Has anybody seen those around? Good, I'm really glad they're getting to the people we intend them to get to. So we developed the Careers with STEM platform about 5 years ago, and funnily enough it was following a meeting with Sally, who you just heard from. She explained the CS plus X narrative that she's talked to you about just now, and I thought it was a really great framework to present information at a large scale to the audiences that matter and that can influence it the most. And those audiences are the students themselves, the educators they work with, and their parents. These are the people that we want to know the information about what the careers of the future are going to be, and also the different pathways to achieving success in those areas. Oh, have I done that right? Okay, so this is the first Careers with STEM magazine we did. We did it in collaboration with Google, firstly, and it was called Careers with Code. Does it look familiar? I can see you're nodding, you've seen it. So we developed it, basically we thought, it's a great concept, but how are we going to deliver it to the intended audiences? And we felt like a media platform was a great way to do it, because we could showcase a lot of different stories, we could showcase pathways, but we could also really showcase diversity and surprising outcomes through a narrative and through content. So we created Careers with Code, and it was really well received. Some of the feedback we got from career counsellors was amazing. These counsellors and advisors knew that they needed to prepare their students for the careers of the future, but until then they didn't really have a tangible resource with which to engage with their students and send them home and help them make those decisions. So some of the feedback we got was, I love this one that came from St Monica's College. She said she had a Year 12 student that came into her office one day that looked disengaged and dejected and didn't really know what he wanted to do. All he knew that he liked computers and he liked being creative, and he couldn't see a way to merge those two passions. And she happened to have the copy of Careers with Code on her desk that had about 5 stories about combining CS plus art. So she was able to show him those stories and give him a little bit of a direction as to how he could use those skills that he's interested in. We've also had feedback that the articles are quite varied and show different, a lot of different subjects, people from different walks of life showing their career journey, and it can really connect with students on different levels. And also just simply the layout and the stories and the photos. We work with designers and photographers that have worked in a lot of other youth media outlets, so we really focus on trying to bring life and colour and movement to the images within the magazine, because we know that often with these things it's not so much the words or the stories, it's the way they're presented and the role models that are set before the students that are going to connect with those students. There we go. So that was great. So the following year we thought, let's do it again, but let's do it a little bit bigger. So we did a second issue of Careers with Code, and this year we sent a box of 50 magazines to every Australian secondary school, because we felt, being a print edition, it's something that's quite tangible. We didn't just want to have one copy in the careers office that a couple of people got to see. We wanted to have more copies so students could take them home, show them to the parents, rip the pages out, make notes in them, scribble in them, use them as a usable resource that can be disposed of as well. So we wanted to increase the quantity. We also launched the website that year, so all of that information could be searchable and shareable, and we started an e-newsletter to our educator community. And then the following year we just thought, well, the CS plus X narrative is really something that can describe the story really well, but we believed it could also be translated to the broader STEM discussion. So we started talking about STEM plus X, and we introduced 2 new magazines, which was Engineering and Science, to the mix, and using that same narrative. So we looked at engineering plus sustainability, engineering plus feed the world, all different ways that engineers could actually work in different areas where their passion lay, and similar with science. Because the fact of the matter is, a lot of people that do science aren't necessarily going to be scientists, but it's how you can combine that foundation with an area that you're passionate about. Oh, it's just lagging a little bit. There we go. And then last year we were thrilled because the Commonwealth Bank joined our stable, and we were able to flesh out the entire STEM suite. So last year we had Science in Term 1, Maths in Term 2, Engineering in Term 3, and Code in Term 4, all using the STEM plus X narrative throughout. And that year we sent our box of 100 magazines to every secondary school. So to date we've distributed, I think it's about 750,000 print copies, and we get about 50,000 visitors to our website every month. So it's a great way to share this information at scale. And next year, this is the current year, 2018, so we've given it a little bit of a refresh, and look out for a box of magazines coming to your schools in October, where we'll have I think it's about 75 magazines going to every school, and we've also overhauled the website so it's much more usable and searchable using the STEM plus X interface. So there's lots of challenges, as you've probably heard today and in other conferences, to how we can get our young people to pursue courses and careers in STEM. Loads of them. We've identified just three that we want to help be a part of the solution to with these Careers with STEM magazines, and they include providing real-world relevance to what these STEM skills can achieve. We want to smash some of the stereotypes around what people think, who people think can do STEM jobs and what those jobs actually are. And we also want to really just shine a light on building diversity within the STEM industry. So I'm not a teacher, but I've talked to a lot of teachers, and a lot of them have told me they've heard students say things like, well, when am I ever going to need to use this in the real world? Have you heard that? Especially in maths is what I've heard about. And sometimes it's hard to have the answers to hand and to be able to respond to that quickly. So some of the things that we've developed are posters that we actually worked with the Department of Education to create, which could be a useful, colourful resource for classroom walls, but also answer those questions at a glance. So when you look at somebody who's interested in science, when am I ever going to need to use this in the real world? Well, here's the top 9 industries for science graduates, and none of them are becoming scientists. So it's things like business, management and consultancy who are really in demand for science-based entrepreneurs who are making their mark in finance, agriculture, healthcare. It might be in sustainability and energy, because the green economy is one of the fastest growing markets today. And within that area, scientists are in high demand in building industry, infrastructure, water, mining. There's also people that are fighting diseases. It's not just doctors that are saving lives, it's actually scientists who are doing the research and finding the cures. And at the moment, there's 40,000 jobs in biotech and pharma alone. And there's teachers. A lot of science graduates go into teaching as well, which is a great way to inspire the next generation. Another one, especially in response to questions about when we're going to need to use maths, here's 5 ways that maths is used in real life. So it might be a cryptographer. So from protecting military and financial data, cryptographers write algorithms to mask information and unmask cyber terrorists. Foreign exchange traders use maths to quickly spot inefficiencies in the markets. Meteorologists use probability and statistics to assess weather conditions. And forensic scientists who are using geometry and trigonometry to measure blood pattern analysis, and also when they're matching DNA patterns. And nurses, of course, use maths every day when they're working out percentages, fractions and calculations to deliver medicine based on factors such as a patient's weight. Another challenge, which I think is huge, is stereotypes. A study that was conducted by the American Association of Women found that the #1 thing holding women back is stereotypes, and that's the stereotype that girls and women are not as good at math and science as boys and men. In terms of stereotypes of the images as well, they're quite limited. I did a Google search for scientist, and this is what it came up with. So you see that it's quite, the gender diversity is quite fair, but I think the white coat diversity is pretty high on the white coats. But when you look at what science graduates are doing, there'd be a fraction of them actually wearing white coats. And same for mathematicians. I don't know how many people who are looking around at mathematicians would be that inspired to become one if that's the role models that are in front of them. So we wanted to present STEM professionals in a different way throughout the magazines and the website. So we commission original photography for every single issue, and here's some examples of some of the STEM professionals we've shot in the magazine. So this one here is Amy and Shanika. They both work at Google, and they've come through engineering and science degrees to work at a tech company. This is Tamina Pitt. She's a technologist who wants to use technology for social good and to change the world. Dean Foley is an entrepreneur who teaches digital entrepreneurship skills to Indigenous Australians. And Michael Sheswick, he works he plays games for a living basically. He works for the company that makes Fruit Ninja, which is a global phenomenon, and comes out of Brisbane. And that's just a few of them that we showcase in the magazine. In terms of diversity, we look at all areas of diversity: gender, cultural, regional and socioeconomic, and we try to make every issue have somebody in there that every student will be able to identify in some way. So when we're looking at STEM plus X, as Sally phrased it, it's about combining a foundation of STEM skills with your passion, a problem you're trying to solve, or a completely different discipline. Within the website, we've categorised these so they're completely searchable. So you can search by using your STEM foundation, and then you can combine it with these 8 X factors, and we're updating those all the time. So you might be interested in science, but you're interested also in starting a business. You might like engineering, but you want to build healthy communities, or maths and you want to get into tech, or technology and you want to be creative. So you can kind of search where your STEM is plus your X on the website. And I'll just go through a few examples of people we've featured in the magazine that have done this in their own lives. So this is Lily Cerner. You might recognise her. She's a presenter from SBS and ABC. She hosts the Numbers and Letters show, and I've also seen her as a host on Catalyst. She's a mathematician, and she also works as a data analyst at Atlassian, Australia's #1 tech company. And she's a passionate crusader for promoting the benefits of maths, and her pet hate is when people say, "I'm not good at maths." She just doesn't want to hear that. She wants to ban that term. This is Nathan Adler. He appeared on the cover of our engineering magazine last year. His passion is the outdoors, surfing in particular. He's a UNSW engineering graduate, and he created a product called SurfSense that brings together the world's first real-time coastal wave monitoring infrastructure and notifications systems to beaches. So that device on the end there is called a data buoy, and that sits in the ocean and measures swollen surface waves, and then translates that information real time back to surfers around his local area so they can decide what beach to go to. This is Shanae Esterhausen. She has founded a company called Mac Clothing, where she works with 3D printed materials and uses bioprinting techniques to ensure her fashion label has an environmental footprint of 0, and she featured in the Careers with Code magazine. Daniel Pelchin, he's a performance analyst at Collingwood Football Club. He's always loved working with numbers, but he came into his element when he found them in something he was passionate about, which is football. So he works at Collingwood Football Club, and he measures the stats of 3,000 players each year to help the recruitment team monitor who's going well and who they want to recruit. He was in the Maths magazine last year. Science and tech. This is Amy. She works at Google, and she came up through the science pathway. She was always really good at science, enrolled in a biology degree at UNSW, but then discovered she hated blood. So luckily, as part of her degree, she'd done some computing, and she ended up graduating, getting a job at a finance company, and then that led her to Google, where she now manages the team that works on the Maps API. And this one here, Amy Sheik, she works here at Commonwealth Bank. She's the General Manager of Group Data Science. She has a PhD in data mining, a Master's in AI, an MBA, and holds multiple patents, but her passion is to shape the next generation of diverse minds in data science, and she's using data science to eliminate bias wherever possible. Science for startups. So Vivian Chan is a UQ science graduate who started her own business, an online business which helps people access the science they want to use. Oops, sorry, wrong way. So if you want to see more of this, hopefully you're getting the magazines at your school. There's 4 per term. They're pretty much consistent. So science comes out in term 1, and maths in term 2, engineering term 3, and code in term 4. We generally send out 4 per issue, so they can go 1 to the careers office, 1 to the library, 1 to head of science or maths, and 1 to STEM coordinator. This year we will be sending out our box again in October, so do look out for that. We also have improved our digital hub this year, so it's much more searchable by your STEM and your X. It's also got lots of videos on their career personality quizzes, which students really like, just to kind of, sort of point them into areas where their personality answers might relate to real careers. And there's a STEM plus X degree finder in there, where lists about 1,000 Australian university degrees where you can put in your STEM plus X and find what degree might suit you. We're doing classroom resources, which the Department of Education has funded us to do. So this helps bring the careers discussion into classrooms, and it's linked to capabilities as well as the digital technologies curriculum. The posters that I mentioned, they're all available on the website, free to download in A3, or they can be ordered, and we've got about 20. So every time we do a new issue, we produce 3 more posters to accompany that issue. We've got a couple of e-newsletters. We've got the Careers with STEM Weekly, that includes articles of the week, career quizzes, new launches, events, and then we've also got a specific educator newsletter called Educator Insider, which includes teacher blogs, programs that other schools are using, etc. We've launched a STEM careers app on the App Store and Google Play, and that's free at the moment, so that draws all the information from the website, and you can search according to your STEM plus X, and then it also pulls out information from online about jobs in that area, starting salaries, and live jobs that are available at the moment. And finally, if you want to follow us, we've got all the social media channels going, but also, yeah, do head to the website and sign up for the newsletters, because that's where we kind of let you know when the new magazines are coming out, and we often have sort of STEM prizes and events and things like that that we'd love to invite you to as well. So thank you, I hope that's been helpful, and yeah, I'll sign off now.